Howdy, youth team. I am home from kids camp. I'm actually broadcasting to you from the Lewis Mansion, or at least the temporary Lewis Mansion. This is George you're seeing over here. He's happy that I'm home. Kids are happy I'm home too. They're all back in their bedrooms unpacking from the trip. So I've got a few minutes to talk with you, and I'm happy to do with it. Just a few things about this week's lesson. We're doing Psalm 22, which is a fascinating chapter. Again, one of those that we could spend probably 2-3 weeks on, but one good solid week's going to be fun. Number one, go ahead and read the whole chapter with the students, at least those of you that are working with older students. The middle that they just kind of jump over in the lesson portion actually covers a few more things about Jesus that are worth pointing out to them. Hopefully they will pick up on them on their own. And I am going to be encouraging them via Facebook and via the text messaging system to go ahead and be studying the chapter before they come in. So hopefully they'll come in with those questions already in mind. But read the whole chapter with them. It's not going to hurt them any at all. And it's really good stuff. Number two, talk about David's life. While I do believe that this chapter is prophetic, David had quite a bit of suffering in his life. And it's stuff that we sort of easily forget. We get caught up in he was the greatest king of all Israel, and every king after him was measured by him. And but the truth is, he suffered as a kid. Remember, he was considered so insignificantly in his family that whenever the prophet showed up to their house, no one even bothered to go get him. So his family didn't view him in that high of a light. You remember whenever he went to go fight Goliath, his brothers were literally gussing at him. Go away, boy. They didn't want him around. When he worked for King Saul, he had the whole getting spears thrown at him thing. He was a popular guy in Israel by that point, but the king wanted to kill him and put out a manhunt for him for several years. And then even after he was king, because of his sinful choices that he made, at one point late in his life, his children actually turned against him, not to mention the fact that he lost a number of children that died for various reasons. So David is a guy that understood suffering, and it's good for students to hear that too. Again, he's one of those guys that we hold in high reverence and talk a lot about, but we need to talk about the fact that a lot of the folks in the Bible that we do hold in such high esteem were normal people who went through a lot of the same stuff that we did. So talk about David and his suffering some. That'll help put this chapter a lot more in context. I want you to read the students, or at least bring up the point that's made on page 29 in the material, specifically the little sidebar, the gray sidebar, where it talks about Job's wife. The very last sentence in that is so good. It's talking about God, even the last two sentences. But it says, God is big enough that he can have reasons for letting us endure suffering that we do not fully understand. The older students in particular need to hear that, because the questions on their mind frequently, and certainly the questions that are being posed to them by their peers, is if God is so great, why does he allow suffering? And this is where you can talk to students about just God really is working on a much bigger canvas. He is painting a picture, and he is working with so many people, and the fact that he would allow us personally to suffer from time to time it isn't always a bad thing. There's a million reasons why it lets us suffer. I wish we could get into that more, and I'm sure we will at some point. But that's the biggest thing they need to hear, is that God has a purpose for suffering. It's not him falling asleep on us. He's always working things out. And the biggest and best example we have of that is Jesus and the suffering that Christ endured for us. Okay. Number 4, the questions on page 32 under the application, that now what section. Those are really, really good questions. If you don't ask any of the questions from the rest of the lesson, be sure and ask those 3, because they're all really, really solid, both for the middle school age students and the high school age students. Number 5, cross-reference from the New Testament. I can't believe they didn't do this in the lesson. If they did, I just totally missed it. But Philippians chapter 2, verses 5 through 11. When we get to see Christ's humility, and specifically how he endured suffering and the results of that suffering. Because of how Christ suffered, look what's going to happen. Someday everybody is going to bow before Jesus, and they will. Those who inflicted the suffering even are going to bow before Christ. So be sure and point that out to them. And then the last thing, drive home the point with the students that they can be honest with God and they can be honest with each other. And whenever we do that, not only do our relationships with God grow, but our relationships with one another grow too. It's so easy for us to come into church and put on a happy face, even and especially as leaders, to put on a happy face and just pretend like everything's okay. And it's okay for things to not be okay. It's okay for us to be honest and just say, you know what, I just need some extra Jesus this week because I'm having a really rough week. Or I need some extra love for my brothers and sisters this week because I'm having a rough week. So those are just some thoughts from the lesson this week. I'm excited about it, and definitely excited about worshiping with you guys and hanging out with our newbies that we're picking up on Sunday morning too. If y'all didn't see the post that I put on Facebook, go check that out. There are a ton of brand new 7th graders moving up, which should be a lot of fun. So anyway, I love you guys. I'm praying for you. Forgive me for getting this to you a day later than last week. Said I just got home a few hours ago. But we'll see y'all Sunday. Bye-bye.